Today we're here to learn about how you can host paid online events on Facebook. I know this is a relatively new, it's been around for a while, but it is still a new feature for Facebook. And I've already introduced myself, but this is not a picture of me, but that is what I do. And yeah, I'm hoping that you'll look at paid online events if you are thinking of running any events, or if you've run events in the past in real life and you're looking at transferring those online. So what we're going to look at today is what is a paid online event on Facebook, if you've no idea what I'm talking about, how they can help you grow your business, and we'll go through step by step how you can create and plan for your paid online event. So let's start with that. What is a paid online event? They're basically a Facebook event that you can charge an entry fee for. You can bring more parts of your business online by creating events this way. You can monetize live events that you create. You can connect with your existing customers. And because you're on Facebook, it gives you the opportunity to reach a broader audience, no matter where they are in the world, which is one of the benefits, I think, of running online events. You can also recreate the events that you maybe ran in real life before all these lockdowns. And you can do that in an online format. You can even collect the payment within Facebook. So it all happens in one spot. And I know, lockdown's easing. People are thinking about running in real life events again. But I do think still a lot of people have got accustomed to attending events online. So it's still very relevant, even post lockdown. So you can run an event for almost anything. You could run an event to teach a class. So here you've got a beauty tutorial or maybe a fitness class. You could use it to organize a virtual presentation, much like you're attending today. You can do that within paid events. And you could host maybe a original performance. So if you're an artist, or if you want to bring in an artist, you could host that online as well. That's just a few ideas. There's hundreds of ways that you could run online events. And just to mention that there is a workbook to go alongside this presentation that will tell you step by step how to do all this. It will also give you tips on how to do this, and it will also give you some of the key information that you'll need to get approved for online events. And that's the first thing I want to talk about. They have a page which will take you through the onboarding process. So you do actually need to apply for live events. And if you're thinking of doing this, definitely do it way in advance of when you want to create your event, because there is a verification process. So firstly, I'm sure if you're here today, you already have a Facebook business page that has to have been up and running for at least 30 days. You have to meet Facebook's eligibility requirements, and there is a list of that in that workbook that I'm going to give you if you're worried about that. And your page has to be in compliance with all their standards. Once you've confirmed your page is good, you have to sign the terms and conditions and add payment information, and then it goes into review. So Facebook will review and decide whether you can run events. So get that application process up and running now, so that if you do intend to run a live event in the future, you won't have to do it then. I actually just did mine today just to make sure it works. So once you've got that set up, you can actually start creating your online events. So the first thing is you just go to your page like you normally would, and you click events to create an event. You go in to tap create event, and then you tap online, because that's the sort of event that you're running a paid event for. Fill in your event details. So the name of the event, always try and make that something that is going to grab the attention of your audience. And then you've got the date of your event and the venue, if you've got one. The next stage is to tell Facebook how you're going to run this live event. So are you going to create a Facebook Live, which is kind of handy because it all fits in the same place, or are you going to host it somewhere else, in which case you'll need to put the link in. Maybe you're going to do it on Zoom or one of the other meeting platforms. And then finally, add a cover photo for your event and make this something, again, that your audience will be attracted by. So in this case, they've added a picture of some lovely food, obviously trying to attract a foodie audience. You know, do think hard about what you put in your cover photo. It's all too easy just to throw something up there. And then finally, tap create event. So that's it. That's the setup process. You get that once you're monetized, you can get the option to put in how much you're going to charge for the event as well. And then once you're all set up and you've been approved, you can start thinking about how you're going to promote your event. In fact, there's 3 P's here. Firstly, you need to plan your event in advance. Think about what is the main purpose of this event? What are your audience going to get out of the event? And I see so many companies, whenever they're advertising something, not putting that right at the top. Don't make your audience go looking for that information. Straight away, tell them that you're going to learn how to cook 3 dishes. You're going to learn how to keep fit at home, whatever it is. Secondly, think about who you want to reach, and that's just in general for your audience, and what sort of thing might attract that audience. So going back to the cover photo, you've thought about, you know, that's going to attract foodies. That looks really delicious. It has my belly rumbling. So think about the way that you present the event, and when you're talking about it elsewhere, which is the next piece, because of course you need to promote your event. You need to promote your event. So you want to start posting about it on Facebook. That's the first thing. Make sure you're posting about it on your page, and always think about the people you're reaching, who you want to attract and what's in it for them when you do that. But you should also promote it everywhere else that you do your marketing. So, you know, on your website, talk about it on your website, talk about it on the other social media channels that you use. Any promotional information that you have, talk about your event, because that's the only way that you're going to sell those spots. And the final P, I've not been clicking the buttons. The final P is to prepare your space. And I think this is so important and something a lot of people don't think about. Think about where that event is taking place. Is it taking place in your business? And if it is, you want to make sure that you've got a place where you can set that up, that the background looks right, that it looks professional, that there's nothing dodgy in the background. You also want to look at the lighting. Is there enough light coming into the room? You might need to buy some additional lights. Have you got a microphone? What is the sound like? So I would actually go into the area that you want to film, set up your phone or your computer, whatever you're going to be broadcasting from, and just have a look in the background, what's behind you. So as Lauren probably knows, because she's seen me a few times, I always have this in the background, and that's constructed deliberately. It's not so tidy either side of me. I have deliberately thought about where that's going to be. And I've also thought about my lighting and sound. And that's so important, particularly if people are paying. You want to make sure that you're giving them a good experience. So that's your planning stage. Plan your event, promote your event, prepare your space. Also think about the internet. Make sure the internet connection is strong wherever you decide to set up. So make sure you have a backup plan, because even with all that careful preparation, things will go wrong. The technology will break. Something that you worked earlier will suddenly not work now. So things I would suggest is to have a backup internet connection. So before I go live, when I do a live broadcast, I'll always check my internet speed. But one thing that people don't know is that it's important to check the upload speed. The download speed is always really fast because that's what they sell you on. So that's why you can watch Netflix, but check the upload speed. And your second internet connection could just be the 4G, just tether to your phone, or maybe you want to get a 3G, a 4G or a 5G dongle, just so that you have that backup. It's really handy to have. Something else I would look at is having a second person somewhere else, that if something goes wrong, they can manage the live stream for you. Have a second set of equipment, because something can go wrong. If you're intending to go live on your phone, maybe set up your computer as well, so that you can go live on that if suddenly maybe the battery goes flat or you have a power cut. Just always have that backup. And the same with your microphone, and just make sure you've got another option. Again, people are paying for this, so things will go wrong, but you want to make sure that you have every eventuality thought of. I also would recommend recording a dress rehearsal, so that if everything else goes wrong, your other person that you have helping you out could upload that video. So there is still a version there that you can use if suddenly your internet totally breaks and you're not going to be able to do it. So think about everything that could go wrong and have a backup plan. Then on the day of your event, so maybe I've instilled fear into you there. Things go wrong rarely, but I always think, especially for a paid event, you really need to have all that backup place in plan. But when you're actually going to go and run your event, start it early. So you may have scheduled it for 10 a.m. Start it at 5 to 10 or start it at 10 to 10. Because what happens then is if there is going to be a technical glitch, you'll know in advance and it gives you a bit of breathing room. And also because it can take a little while for people to join. If you start early, people can join early, you can start welcoming them in, you can start getting to know them and engaging them. And that's the next thing, is engaging your audience is important. This is a live stream. You want people to feel involved in it. So asking people questions so that they can interact with you can really work to get people involved. Also, if you get a lot of comments, people will start talking to each other and it just gives it that more live atmosphere. If you're going to have another event in the future, don't forget to promote it during and maybe at the end of your existing event. So when people arrive, I already talked about welcoming them, and it can be hard to get those first few comments going. And I do think the comments and the engagement is important for people to feel like there's a buzz around this event. So some of the things I do, you can just ask people, where are you from? Tell us where you're from. You'll hear that question coming up a lot, or what are you looking forward to in today's event? But I will always have a specific question set up that I will ask, something that's really easy for people to answer, but it just means that it will get that conversation going. It will help kickstart that conversation. So I think that can work really well. So now that you've finished your event and it's been successful, phew, none of the technology broke, yay! What should you do now? Well, the first thing is go and review all the comments and the reactions that you got. You will have missed some comments because it's really hard to keep up with them. So you can go and re-engage with the people who've left those comments. And it's also a great way to get feedback. See what people are saying. What did they like about it? What didn't they like? Because that will give you an idea of how you can improve it the next time. And that's the thing, each time you run an event, you will get better at doing it. There's also an events insights tab that will give you specific insights on your event, will tell you how people are engaging with it and the people that attended it. And also before your next one, you can test some new ideas and you can iterate what you did that went really well the first time. So actually, that's the end of my presentation. Don't forget there is a workbook which will give you all the links and everything for getting set up for online events. And I would think that is the most important thing. Just get verified for that now, so that if you do want to do one in the future, you don't have to worry about it then. So the key things to think about are: create paid online events directly from your Facebook page. Have a look at how you do that. You can do it from desktop, you can do it from the Business Suite app, or you can do it directly from the Facebook app. I've tried all three today, so all three of those work. Once you are set up, it is just a case of setting it up just like a Facebook event. Make sure that your page meets the eligibility requirements before you try and set it up. So again, all the details of that are in the workbook. And when you plan your events, you want to be building your Facebook community alongside that, because the bigger your Facebook community, the more people are going to see your posts, Also look at your email marketing, your website, your other social media as ways to promote that. So that's it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I can see one comment came in at least, and you can let me know, Lauren, if there are any questions.
So Joe has asked a question there about how much credit should you put on a dongle as a backup?
You see, now I'm a really bad person to ask that because I have a contract, and just kind of so I always have something because I do a lot of online training, so I always need to have it. So I'm paying $29.99 a month, which is pretty steep if you're not doing training all the time. So I don't even know how much how much data you get for credit, and it will also depend on the capability of your computer and the internet, how big the stream is going to be. So it could use 2 gigabytes, and I would say at least have at least 2 gigabytes worth of data, but preferably more.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah,
I can't be more precise.
It is a tough one, but at least that's a wee bit of guidance. If you know you have 2 gigabytes minimum, then whatever that costs with whatever provider you have. Thanks for that, Joe. Anybody else that has any questions, as I said, feel free to jump off mute and ask Amanda, or drop a comment in the chat box there. I suppose a question just for me, I was starting to think whenever you were chatting, Amanda, was so that these are Facebook sort of paid events. Are there particular events that work better on Facebook compared to other platforms, or is there any sort of guidance around what works well on Facebook? Or
I think almost you could run almost anything. It is a case of, is your audience on Facebook? And in most cases, people will have a Facebook account. They may not be logging in every single day. So, you know, you need to, I think that's why it's important to look at building your Facebook audience alongside that and making sure the right people in your Facebook audience. So, you know, will this event work online? You could do some free live streams and see, you know, do people come along to the free ones, you know, as a tester to see, is that something that's going to work for you? Or maybe give your first event away for free to see, does that work? And, you know, if nobody's taking it up for free, it's going to be a little bit harder for you to market it for a paid event. But, you know, I think, you know, things like, we know that like there are lots of people doing free workouts during lockdown. Now maybe they want to charge for those events. I think, you know, that would be a really workout videos would be really good. Any sort of tutorial, people love tutorials. But then if you have a really if you were running online events that were like, you could just try and replicate that, whatever it is, as long as your audience is on Facebook, it should work for you. You know, I think there's going to be things that only work in real life, but I can't think of any now.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. As long as the audience is on Facebook, then you should be able to. Perfect. There's a few good questions here from Lillian. So Lillian currently has a personal account on Facebook and isn't familiar with any other business features on Facebook. So please bear with her. Do I use my personal account to start a business page and group community, or is it better to open another Facebook account?
No, 100% use your existing personal Facebook account. I know people are reluctant to do that because they worry that people are going to be able to see the connection between the two. But people from the outside, if I go and visit your business page, I won't know that you're the admin. The only people that do are the other admins. And I know people worry as well that other people would have to sign into their account to manage it. They don't have to do that. You can assign other people as admins to your account from the business page. But the connection means that you're, you know, if you set up a second account, Facebook might flag that as being a fake account, and then you lose that account and you lose your Facebook page. So I would always connect it to a real person, your existing account.
Perfect. And Lillian has another question here, just around data protection. Do I need to link a data protection policy when I do an online event or any other thing like T's and C's, or is that done by Facebook?
That's a really good question that I can't be precise in my answer to. Facebook will generally ask you to link to a privacy policy if it is required. And I've been through the setup process today and it hasn't asked me for that. But I would say there is no harm if you've got that privacy policy hosted on your website or hosted maybe in Google Docs. You could link to that from within the event, just for your peace of mind. But it's more a legal question, so I don't know the exact answer. Just the fact that they don't ask for it, I would suggest that it's not required. But if you want to be safe, there's no harm putting the link in the event description.
Amazing, thank you. And yeah, some great questions there. So yeah, if anybody else has any other questions, now is the time to make use of Amanda's expertise. So as I said, jump anything into the chat there, and or feel free to jump off mute if you're happy with that. I suppose then while we wait, while you're all thinking of your questions, Amanda, is there, how regular would you recommend people doing events, or is it dependent on the sector they're in or what they're offering?
I think it's going to be, no, I wouldn't go mad with it. I would look at how, if you've run events in real life before, it would be a similar frequency as that. You want to make sure there's enough time to market each event in between, unless there's any fitness people here and you're running a regular yoga session. I mean, that would be a perfect use of online events, because they're easy to replicate and it's an easy place for everyone to find you each week. But if it's a one-off event, you want to make sure you've got, you want to be setting up the event at least a month in advance, if it's a one-off event, to give you enough time to promote it, to get the maximum number of attendees that you can. So I think just make sure you're not spreading yourself too thin. And if it's your first event, just test it for the first one, see how that works. And like they were saying, look at the feedback you got, look at how you can make it better the next time, and then maybe, decide then I'm going to run it again.
Amazing, thank you. And Lillian said thanks a million for what you said there now, and has another question. If I had to build a community along with the online event and business page, what is the best way to start building community?
So there's a few things that you can do. You can, once you set up a Facebook page, if you've got friends and family that are relevant, so, obviously you don't want to be sending an invite for somebody to like your page to somebody that has no interest. You want to kind of keep it relevant. But any friends or family you've got, you can invite them to the page. And that's a really good starting point, to try and get 20 or 30 people there before you start asking strangers to come along. Make sure you've got some content up. So make sure the page is fully completed, and maybe you've got 2 or 3 posts, so that if somebody's visiting it for the first time, they can see that it's actually an active page. I think that's a really good thing. You can run ads, and I know people don't like to spend money, but it is the best way to make sure you're reaching exactly your target market, because you can go and target people, in your town that are female between the age of 35 and 45, that have kids. If that's your target market, you can get that specific, because that's what I think people chase the numbers a lot, but it's more important to get the right people. So Facebook actually make it quite easy to run a campaign to get people to like or follow your page. And that's something that really does work. You can also ask your friends and family to share your page to people that they think will be interested. So that's another thing. Just remember, it's not about the numbers. It is about getting the right people, because otherwise you'll end up having a couple of thousand people and nobody attends your event still. So that's an important thing. Shareable content is the other thing. If you can get people sharing content. So if you're thinking about doing a live event, one of the things you could do to warm yourself up is do a few short videos that are really useful, helpful tips that people will want to share with other people. That can work really well, because it just automatically draws people into your page as well.
Super, thanks, Amanda. There's a few starting points anyway there for you. So Joe has asked a question here just around the presentation. On the page where you said the steps about starting an event, what was the steps after step 5?
Okay, let me just go back to that 1 second. I probably went through it way too fast. Apologies.
I'll be sharing out that little activity sheet that Amanda mentioned.
Step 5 was choose whether it's going to be hosted on Facebook or with a third party. Step 6 was to add your cover photo. And I'm guessing you were trying to make notes, because I'm always doing that when I'm watching a presentation. They move to the next slide. And step 7 was just to click the blue create an event button.
Perfect, thank you. And yeah, Lillian's asked about the little workbook as well there. So I will drop an email after this session. So what we'll do is I'll try and get uploaded the recording today, so you'll be able to watch back anything that maybe you did miss, or if you want to double check anything. And I'll forward on the link to that. And then I will attach the workbook as well, so you'll be able to work through that as well. But yeah, if you do have any further questions, I dropped an email to you all this morning, so you should have my details, so feel free to get in touch. Amanda, I don't know if you want to share any of your socials in the chat, if people do want to reach out to you as well.
Yeah, if you want to follow me, I always feel bad saying this because it's a Facebook event. I'm very active on Twitter, so if anyone's on Twitter, I'm at Spiderworking there. I do a live show every Friday, if you want to see what I do, on my Facebook page, which is Amanda Webb Spiderworking. And I also have a YouTube channel, which is called the Digital Strategy Channel. So, and my website is spiderworking.com if you want to see more about what I do.
Amazing. Thank you, Amanda. So one of the things Amanda mentioned earlier on was if you have another upcoming event to promote it at the event that you're running. So yeah. I just dropped a little link as well into the upcoming Enterprise Nation events that are happening. So as I say, feel free to come along to any of those. If you do have any questions about anything Enterprise Nation related, please feel free to reach out. We are running sessions like these pretty much on a weekly basis now. So some of them are presentation style like today, followed by a Q&A. Some of them are social media clinics where you can come along and ask any questions that you have around social media. And as always, there's no such thing as a silly question or anything like that. So please feel free to come along and get those questions answered. I'm not sure if you have anything left to say, Amanda, to wrap up.
No, I'm actually looking forward to seeing some of these online events in action. You know, it's totally the sort of thing that I would do. And I know a lot of them are happening on Zoom now, but Facebook seems like a really good place to host them because people are already there. They don't need additional software. They can just log into Facebook wherever they are. So I think that's good.
Amazing. Thanks a million, Amanda. Yeah, so as I say, I've dropped the wee link in there for upcoming Enterprise Nation events. That includes the Boost with Facebook events that we're running today and in the coming weeks. And Joe is asked there, is the clock on the wall meant to be a spider for the company?
No, it isn't, but now you've said that.
Yeah. There you are. Thank you very, very much, Joe. And thanks again to everyone who has taken the time out to join today. It is a short session, but we're very conscious that you're all busy working away. So it's great that you can take the half an hour out, 45 minutes to come along to these sessions. And we hope to see you all very soon again. Thank you.